City of Stevens Point Board of Park Commissioners meeting, recorded June 7, 2023.
All right, so I hate to break up the conversation, but good evening, everybody. We are going to call the meeting of the Board of Parks Commissioners for Wednesday, June 7th to order. Director Kramer, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Breckman? Here. Tischer? Here. Gladowski?
Here.
Alder Kiemer?
Here.
McDonald?
Here.
O'Connor? Here. Shabilsky's excused. Alder Short?
Here.
Sorensen?
Here.
Carrie Wynn?
Here.
Alder Zerzua?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you, Dan. Moving on to agenda item number 2, approval of the May 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve as written.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second by McDonald. You gotta be faster next time, Mike, sorry.
Oh, you are just,
I'm on it tonight.
that's right, we have 10 items on the agenda.
We have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. It appears, Dan, number 3, we're going to take no action on tonight, correct?
No, we're going to take action. He's just not coming.
Okay, he's not coming. Okay, so I will turn it over to you for agenda item number 3, a request by Point Fastpitch to serve alcohol at a tournament.
Yep, so there's a memo in your packet. Actually, that might be Archie walking in right now. From the Point Fastpitch, they did ask for this last year. They were granted approval. No issues. We have had this request. For the last few years, we've had numerous groups in Goerke ask for kind of the individual dates for their activity. So their tournament is July 14th through 16th. Actually, right here is Archie. We observed no issues last year. Everything worked out well on our end. So staff is recommending approval, and they've kind of got the areas outlined. They show where they'll be serving it. They're obviously adjacent to PD. So from our end, we're saying that this looks good, and it allows them some additional financial sales, which is good for them. So we do recommend approval.
I guess, other questions?
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Mike?
Second.
Mike had his hand up first.
I have I guess, now to bring up, I'm wondering if motion to approve it, but add to that going forward, this could just be done through the Parks Department. It's already been approved once, we're going to approve it again. They have to go through city, state, federal laws to get it. So if it gets approved there, it seems like it could just take out a step bringing it here. It still has to go to council for approval anyway.
I don't think we've ever had that type of discussion, but I think it's probably something that could easily be done. For tonight's individual actions about their tournament, but certainly if the park board would ever want us to bring back like an action item that says reoccurring alcohol requests in Goerke, or just alcohol requests in Goerke can be reviewed by, say, the parks director. It does always have to go, because of the license, through the city clerk's office onto the public policy and general government committee, and then it actually goes on to council. So there is a couple different layers. So if certainly I feel comfortable reviewing these because of those added layers. We've just not had that process in the past, but it would make it easier on the applicant if we could just have them basically contact me. I could say, yep, we approve it, just go through and get the legal license from the city. I don't think we could necessarily act on that tonight, but if you gave that direction, we could bring the item back for a future meeting.
So I think that what we need to do then is separate. We've got a motion and a second to approve the request. And then I think for future action, I don't know that we could add that to the agenda. So I think what we could do, Matt, is we will get that to Dan for a future agenda item.
Yep.
And then take it up. I think there's a lot to be said for streamlining it. And I think we're starting to see repeat requests from regular tournaments on a yearly basis. Yep. So I think it's definitely worth exploring. So again, motion from Alder Shore, second by Mike Gladowski to accept or to approve this request. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nope. All right, motion.
You're good, Archie.
Thanks for coming. All right, moving on to the next agenda item, number 4, exchanging property along 2nd Street North. Dan.
Okay, so this is in your packet, but I did put it up on the screen. I just want to explain this because there's a lot going on here. So last month, there was an opportunity that came up that there was a property for sale on the west side of 2nd Street. And ultimately, what ended up happening is things happened fast. It ended up going to Planning Commission. It went right on to council, and the city was able to fund it with the pledges from the Happy Trails Fund and then also the Green Circle Trail Committee. We've actually closed on the property. So if you look at the Google map, essentially this lot, if you're looking at the TV screen, is now owned by the city. So this is the sculpture park. This is Putt and Play. And this lot was bought, and the two groups, as well as the Parks Department, was looking at that lot because right now the Green Circle Trail heads up 2nd Street to the north as it comes out of the Sculpture Park, and then you have to go on the roadway all the way down Old Wausau Road to Goerke Park. The goal has always been from the Green Circle to become more green and be off the road. So while there's numerous other acquisitions and things that have to happen, you'll see that the sea of green that you kind of heading over that direction. So basically, the reason that was of the essence and why it happened so fast is when the for sale sign got put in the ground, it's odd timing, but we were contacted by the neighboring business who was interested in the southern boundary of the Sculpture Park. And basically, looking at this map, the neighbor to the south had just purchased some property from their neighbor on the back end of their parcel, and they were looking to do some expansion to some of their activities they do behind their building. As this commission knows, we have never and plan to never sell parkland. That's not our goal. We always try to preserve, and we never really do it. So we'd actually been saying no a few times to this in the past. But as this all started to fall into place, what this allows the opportunity, if the committee approves it tonight and it moves forward, is for a direct connection into this new parcel, which then paves the way for the other connections to get us to keep going off the road. This is not a tomorrow item. This is long-term planning. This allows the opportunity when the connections come together. But as we've seen, the Green Circle did a great job over the last 30 years getting the connections together. But now, in the day and age we live in, easements are just necessary, or actually acquiring the property so that you don't get thrown off property in the future. So what's being asked tonight is the neighboring property owner, in addition to the lot they own here in the screen, they own what I'm going to call a backwards C. So they own the house here, they own the lot behind the neighbor, and then they own this bottom of the C. What we're asking for approval is to do a land exchange where the city would basically give them the 7,167 square feet in exchange for us acquiring half of the bottom of the C and this back corner, which is referred to as Outlot 1, 5,244 square feet. So this is what it looks like on a basically a sample certified survey map. What does that do? Going back to the Google image, if I can get there.
Wow.
How did that happen?
Feels like we're in the time tunnel.
That was something.
TV show Time Tunnel, that was the intro.
If you look here, this is the Sculpture Park. The Green Circle Trail right now is right to the east of that. In the future, there could be some rerouting of the Green Circle Trail on the property we own to bring the trail right through there and then hop the road with a real straight connection and keep going. So that is the ultimate goal that the people from the Green Circle Trail are working with the city staff on. So tonight, what I'm asking the Park Commission for approval on is to continue forward. We're at a point where we've reached a verbal agreement and everyone is in agreement to try to do this, but to make it legal, we have to go through Plan Commission, which reviewed it Monday. They recommended approval. Parks Commission is the most important approval we need here tonight if you're agreeable, and then we would go on to council here in 2 weeks. If that all goes through approvals, we would sign the documents and move this forward, and then we would own the parcel, do the land exchange, and likely in time, as time comes up, you're going to see more of these to keep tying the two sides together. So staff recommends, we believe this is a fair deal. It's a once kind of shot deal, because if we don't do it now, you never know if there's an opportunity. Again, hate to give some land away, but it's for exchange, so strategically we think it makes sense. So we recommend approval of swapping Outlot 3 for Outlot 1 with the owners of Putt and Play.
So how far away, can you put that picture back up there?
Yes.
Like, how far away from Old Wausau Road? So we'll have some of this, right?
So we already own this 0.45 acre parcel right here.
How far away from Old Wausau Road are we?
So we're south quite a way. So the Moose Lodge and Zenoff Park are up here. So basically where the Sculpture Park pops out, or where the Green Circle Trail pops out right here, the long-term plan would be when the connections are made, which there's already conversations going on in certain pieces of this, that then when the full piece was done, there would be a reroute where you'd come back down through and then head out that direction. And it's not exactly designed yet because the route may stagger depending upon what other neighbors and things would agree to.
But you think there's a good possibility of getting the route all the way to Wausau Road, or
Yeah.
Wausau Road sometime?
Yeah, we actually, the intention is, the end goal is to get as close to Goerke Park as possible, right? That's the goal.
And then does this take care of, does this get you from there to the street?
Yes.
It does.
Yep, this easement brings that direct connection to the street. So you'd have both sides of the road for the crossing.
And then, Dan, to clarify, there has been some concerns about having a green circle on that road, correct? That old
Yeah,
LaSalle
that's a
road,
great
so there's
point. Yep.
Safety concern,
So
potentially?
Exactly. The whole reason to try to get off the road as much as you can is Old Wausau Road can be very fast. If you've ever been on it, there's a lot of traffic as runners are running. And you have runners on one side of the road, you have bicyclists on the other. So you have cars kind of merging to the middle. So ultimately, at one time, if you recall it, it wasn't on that long of a stretch of Old Wausau Road. The green circle changed hands due to some of private land ownership in there that no longer wanted the green circle in there. So when it went out on the road, it got us through, but the idea is to try to go back into property at some point as soon as we're able. Again, this could be 10 years away. It could be 20 years away. We don't know. There's obviously lots of negotiations that have happened, but these are two significant acquisitions and kind of leading that charge. And there is ongoing conversations with others.
Okay. And just to clarify, if we don't swap this piece of property, we are stuck.
Yeah, essentially, if we don't do this exchange, then the owner they'd still own the other piece, but we would have to go. We'd have to punch out on the sculpture park somewhere and come back down 2nd Street to get over to the other parcel. So this is the only way to directly align with the parcel that the city just purchased.
So does Putt and Play own what we're swapping, or is Putt and Play just in the area?
Putt and Play owns it.
So we're going to take the L.
We
They
get
strip.
Outlot 1, which is this
Yeah.
part right here. They get Outlot 3.
The C becomes 2 L's, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Well, no, I'm wondering how it benefits Putt and Play.
Putt and Play wants this back parcel because they have other activities behind their building that they are up against the property line.
Oh, so that's Putt and Play down there.
Yeah, this is Putt and Play parcel. They gain Outlot 3, which is this rectangle.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at it. I thought Putt and Play was in the middle of the L.
No, they're down here. This is their parcel. So
Okay.
their acquisition is Outlot 3, and then the city's acquisition is Outlot 1. They also maintain this bottom portion of Outlot, which used to be the full Outlot. This gets subdivided, right? But Outlot 1, these boundaries would become the city's.
So, go ahead.
Oh,
Alder Keeper.
thank you, Chair. So have the property owner in that lot surrounding Outlot 1 been notified or informed that the swap may take place? Or?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the part of the condition of this would include when the trail goes in, a screening fence.
Okay.
That would be the Green Circle Trail's responsibility. So yes, the owners of this lot are in contact with this neighbor, but they own the other house.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
in terms of the longer-term plan, Dan, is there anything in that property that we're gaining, so basically the 2/3 of the C that would present challenges from trail development? So is it wet? Is there anything in there we need to be concerned about from a long-term planning for the circle to come that way?
No, actually, we made the easement at least 22 feet wide, so it's big enough to back a dump truck down. We've walked it with the Green Circle Trail folks, John Jury, Tom Schrader. Feel very confident that we'll be able to actually, when the day comes, clean out some brush, and the trail could go right through it.
Okay. Other questions?
I motion that we approve the swap.
So we've got a motion from Carrie to accept the proposal. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Freckman beat you to it. Bob? All right, so we've got a motion and a second to accept this land swap as proposed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. And moving on, agenda item number 5, Director.
All right, so let me find my agenda so I can remember what I got to tell everyone here quick. Hold on, bear with me. It's construction season is what we've got going on right now, and I wanted to give some updates on our actual projects. Oh boy. I swear I'm usually organized, but I have it, I promise. Here we go. All right. So the pool opening day was the first thing. We did open the pool a week early this year. Ann and Greg were able to fully staff our lifeguards. Really great recruitment by them. So we opened actually last Friday, June 2nd. You'll notice that the other area pools are supposed to open. A lot of them are opening this weekend, or they just opened like yesterday. So I gave them kudos. I said we were first to the race. We won it. So had great turnout with the warm weather last weekend too. So Ann let me know that we've sold more pool passes in the first couple days than we sold last season combined with the opening. So I think people enjoy enjoyed the extra week, and with the hot weather recently, we had a lot of people that were looking to get in over there. We do have a few. The pool is, as you recall from the Corp, it's one of the #1 areas of concern for the city to try to look to long-term improvements, whether we aquatic facility or doing something else. I will tell you that we've done major upgrades with the mechanical rooms, but we still have an aging facility. So we had a small leak in our slide pool. We actually had an area on the slide itself that had some cracking of the surfacing that had to be repaired. Inside the building, there's numerous things we're chasing from little leaks in nooks and crannies. It's just an old facility. I mean, we're going back to the 60s and some of that. So it's not doom and gloom. The pool will be open all year. I don't mean it to be that way, but we certainly are going to need to start the conversation, especially given what the Corp showed for our community wants, as well as the condition of the facility we have, to say, at what point do we draw a line and say we're not investing in the existing one because of its age, and do we start talking the conversation for the future? They're not a cheap item, and I'm not asking for anything like tonight, but I do want to let you know that we're certainly going to have some honest conversations as the Park Commission, as well as City Council, and just direction on where we want to go, so we can start having a roadmap for that. So otherwise, good news for the pool. Things are going well. Please get a chance to get out if you can and go there.
Can I ask a related question about that? What history is there, I assume, of access to the PJ's pool?
The indoor pool?
Yeah. In terms of, I mean, it's noticeable, right, that it's kind of a pure school district facility, and I'm just wondering what discussions maybe in the past there have been about community access.
I would have to, in my 4 years, I've not been part of any discussions. I don't know if there was any before that. I don't know if we've ever had like a shared use agreement. I'm not sure. But I do know that from a community recreation standpoint, indoor and outdoor is pretty significantly different. So sometimes,
yeah, sure, of course.
I think, but that's a whole, yeah, we can definitely look into more of those if we'd want to. On the Emerson Park project update, if you drive by there, you'll see that the site is very underway construction. There's equipment everywhere. Lots of the groundwork has been done. I know that asphalt is one of the kind of hang-up items right now, even in road projects, but there is some asphalt work on that basketball court. They need to be done by July 15th. Some of the tie-in for like storm sewer and stuff has already been done there, so we hope to see that project come together very quickly here. It did, the first week of work went really quick, so I think it's more of a lead time thing that's going on there. So when that gets done, hopefully we can do a park tour like we've done on others to show that off. So kudos to the Friends of Emerson and Ginger and her team on all the work on that project. The band shell project update, if you've been down or if you made it to Levitt Amp or City Band, we have already reinforced the beam. So it does look ugly right now, full disclosure. There's a big metal beam on the bottom, but that will be wrapped in glue lam. So what it is, essentially they went up the beam as far as they could to where the hollowing stopped. The structural engineer went in and looked at it. They cut the beam off at that point, and they flipped the beam over. I can even email this picture out. You could actually see right through it. And they said that the wind tunnel that kind of gets created in the band shell as the wind's coming off the west and kind of goes up underneath it, that we were lucky probably that it didn't fail because there was just so hollowed out. So you hate to hear that, but the good news is we were able to get to it. So it's been reinforced. What they ended up doing was putting a notch down the middle of the glue lam beam that went up. I think it's almost 2.5 feet. You'll see a bunch of bolts that are through it if you go look at it today, and that connects that metal beam down to the concrete. But again, the glue lam will go around it. We also worked with the Historic Preservation Commission chair and city staff, and you'll see a paint job that's going to go on the inside to give it a fresh look as well. So there'll be the new roof. You see the ends of the beams getting wrapped, and instead of what we've been calling the peanut yellow, the peanut color, you're going to see more of a grayish tone that matches some of the bands that want a darker backdrop a little bit, with a brownish tone on the accent beams, which should look really sharp. So that's going to happen probably not till late summer. Painters are very backed up, but Ellis hopes to have the glue lam beam wrapped here in the next week or so, and that'll close that project out. So it's safe, it's being used. Levitt Amp went without a hitch. Right now it doesn't look the best because it's shiny, but you'll see that all kind of get covered and painted here coming up very soon. So another great project they have behind us, and that structure, everything else is solid, so we should have many, many years of good service. The community stadium at KB Willock project, if you've been by there, you've seen a lot of the arborvitaes and the trees out front have been cut down, and they've started scratching the dirt. We've already started with electrical relocates. They've busted out all of the floors in the basement locker rooms. We are heavy under construction over there. So that project's going to take a long time. We're going to be starting to shut water services and things off. Again, we were able to get all the events in, the elementary track meet. Everything's been going okay, but it's definitely chaos if you head to the Willett. So that fence will stay probably all the way through the football season, you'll start to see a building, once they get water, stormwater, and gas and electric relocated, then you'll start seeing them dig a hole. And just for reference, in case you didn't know, there's 100 helical piles that have to go on the ground for them to be able to run the footings over top of it, because the sand next to the building is not structurally strong. They call it weight of hammer. So essentially, we're going down 25 feet with those helical piles, because when they drilled the borings, the weight and pressures that they came back with was, the weight of a hammer would drop the sand out. So there's 100 different ones. It's like a screwdriver, but it's mechanical and on a computer, and it hits a certain torque, and that's when they stop the helical pile. Then they run beams across all those helical piles that basically like a re-rod, right? But it's bigger, and they pour the cement underneath it. So it'll be an interesting construction. You certainly could walk around the fence if anyone's interested in that. We don't anticipate that excavation to happen until probably end of June or early July. But lots happening there too. The Community Tree Management Institute, this is an item that Todd let me know, is going to be coming back to the city. It's been here multiple times in the past. I actually asked Todd to give me a little write-up so I could explain what that is. So the Wisconsin Community Tree Management Institute is a unique training experience designed for municipal staff with tree management responsibilities, but that for individuals that don't have a strong urban forestry background. I'm actually a graduate of this program from like 2014 when I first got in the field. But the program's ideal for someone who they spend time in their job working with trees, but they were never educated in it, essentially. About 30 communities participate in each session. Some are big, some are small. And this is the 5th time and 4th time in a row that they're actually coming to Stevens Point. The last day is a tour of the city's forestry program. So they actually follow Todd and his staff around, look at our tree canopy, look at our equipment. And Todd was just pointing out, and he's 100% true, because I was in awe when I came and visited Stevens Point when I did it. Our community should be proud to be asked to do this. The DNR could go anywhere in the state. They choose Stevens Point because of our strong forestry program, the university connection, and again, 4th time in a row. So kudos to Todd and his team. They spend a great deal amount of time, and I can speak firsthand. When I first got in the field, didn't know much about it, and I came through here and I was blown away. Never thought I'd be in charge of it one day, but they really do a great job. So kudos to Todd and his team for everything that they do. 2 other things I wanted to mention is I sent an email yesterday, but the governor visited Stevens Point. Really kudos to our Convention and Visitors Bureau and all the tours and things that they do. The good news is we get to kind of ride the coattails slightly in the fact that they came to the sculpture park as well. So our parks certainly have tourism attractions in numerous different locations in every aspect. The sculpture park is a big one. I think it's number 2 on TripAdvisor. And the governor spent almost 30 minutes there. Carrie, you were there, and it was great. He asked lots of questions. The Secretary of Tourism was there as well. Really a great event. And I think he was here last year at the Cultural Commons. This year he was here at the Sculpture Park. So again, the volunteers from the Sculpture Park Committee, Mary and Faye, kind of led the tour, and it was coordinated through Sarah and Melissa and her team. Just a great day all around that we got to have.
Did you say anything about revenue sharing?
He did, but that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, so it was great to have him here. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention, today we had a ribbon cutting for Mead Park in which the Shakurit family had paid some memory to members of their family. The field is named after Jeff. And they also did some upgrades for a memorial for Jared. We did a first pitch ceremony at 5:30. In addition, the Stevens Point Youth Baseball Association, as part of that project, and also separately, just put over 10 grand into Iverson, Morton, and Mead Park to redo the infields with Infield Pro and new mixtures and regrading it. So a lot of good news. I mean, as I go through this list, almost all of these things are privately funded or donor funded, or youth groups and other groups funded. So again, kudos. If Sean was here, I would have mentioned it. Shabilsky's on the board. He's actually at a baseball game tonight, but we're lucky to have Spiva, Point Fastpitch, all these organizations, and they just made a substantial investment in those 3 fields. So definitely a busy season. Riverfront Rendezvous is next month. I didn't make that on here, but June 30th, July 1st, and July 2nd. I did want to mention, because July 4th falls on a Tuesday, July 5th, I think, is the first Wednesday. I'm not anticipating scheduling a meeting next month. I'm going to be sleeping, probably trying to catch up for the weekend, but we'll meet again in August is the plan. So that's what I have for Matt report.
So questions for the director?
Is there anything else specific for information related to the U.S. Senior Open as far as how that impacts our parks? I mean, obviously, Century is where most of that's happening, but I know you had talked about expecting more people at Riverfront, and just if there's anything else related to
Yeah, so we do it. So I actually meet with basically our police, our fire department, and the county sheriff's office every year for a tabletop to go through Riverfront. We're planning like we're going to have a firework crowd all 3 days. Now, with that said, It is going to be hot if the weather's warm, and a lot of people that might spend all day at golf, it's hard to know if they're going to want to continue down to, say, that event at night. So we're not sure what the influx, if there'll be more during the day, that people maybe stop and have a burger or something before they go down or back and forth. But we are prepared if we would have a firework night crowd all 3 days, that we can handle it. I do know the CDB was working on like things to do in the community for the week of, and there is different aspects of the park system that are in some of that material. So I think we're certainly going to see an uptick. Riverfront would be the most impacted if a lot of people came down, but it's really hard to predict. You know, I can tell you what I would do, but it's like if you go stand all day in the summer, or in the sun, I should say, watching golf, are you going to go home and recoup to go back the next day, or are you going to go? It's hard to know. So, but if we would have a firework crowd, it would be very busy 3 days, but we would be prepared. So the fire department, police department, they're ready from a crowd control standpoint. We have enough activities and supplies to sell that we'd be okay there too. So I think parking would be our biggest issue potentially, as also like keeping up supply-wise in the restrooms and things. But to be honest, on firework night, we get to a certain time where we almost have to just back off because it's so busy. So if that happened, we would just deal with it in the morning, kind of catching back up with supplies. So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a first kind of experience for us too.
Dan, is there going to be any protective fencing put around the wild plantings down along the riverbank? I know people were really respectful last year. I didn't see anybody trampling it to put their blankets down, but if it's going to be super crowded, I was just wondering if we might be able to protect that area.
Yeah, last year we put a sign on the front and we put basically a single wire type around it. We plan to do that again, and the whole entire cultural commons garden gets fenced as well. So both areas are planned to be protected with that. It's not something somebody couldn't step over, but we did sign it last year. No one went in there at all. So
it's good.
Yeah.
Good. Other questions? All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, we are at the last agenda item in our adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm not even going to ask for opposed. Have a good night, everybody.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.